That's it. I think we got the audio going. All right. This is In the Northwest Native News. I'm your host, Jeff Ferguson, and I got with me Margot Hill. It's Native American Heritage Month, and we just wanted to reach out. There's been so much stuff going on. It's been really exciting. We're not really sure how many of you are going to join us tonight, but we wanted to give it a shot. We have all sorts of cool things going on. We've got a really neat video we want to share with you. It's in Indian country. We have all sorts of cool things. We had the election that happened. We've got some updates on that. There's a bunch of different things that we wanted to catch you up on. But more than anything, we just wanted to say hi, and we missed you, and we're glad that you could make it. So with that being said, Margot's got a bunch of stuff that she prepared to talk about, and I'm just gonna go ahead and turn it over to her.
Margot Hill. Good evening. I'm your co-host, Margot Hill. I'm a Spokane tribal citizen, grew up out in Welpinit on the Spokane Indian Reservation. I'm pleased to join my partner, Jeff Ferguson, in this live production. We are so excited to share with you a number of things that are going on across Indian country. We just finished the elections. We've been doing some work on murdered missing Indigenous women. We also have been working with the City Council to rename streets. And we have some updates from the Centennial Accord. So we're excited to come and visit with you a little bit and talk about what's been happening across Indian country. So Jeff, I don't know if you want me to go ahead and talk about elections or where we want to start.
Why don't you go ahead and start out with the elections, because we had a lot of Native candidates this year. One thing that I wanted to talk about, I did a video earlier about the elections, and it's so important for us because a lot of times people, they say things like, my vote doesn't count. And a lot of times it can be frustrating, but when you look at how many candidates are out there and how many are our allies, we can really do a lot of good in Indian country by getting the right people into the small positions of power. And it doesn't really matter where you're at, but there's usually somebody out there that you can vote for that's pro-Native, pro-Indian. So go ahead and talk about some of the candidates that we had this year.
So we've had a number of candidates across Indian country representing us. We've had Deborah Juarez. She was on Shoreline City Council or Seattle City Council. She's a Blackfeet tribal member. We've had Deborah Leakenoff, a Tlingit, out of the Washington 40th Legislative District. That's LaConner to Bellingham. We've had Chris Stearns, a Navajo, who has been serving on the Auburn City Council. Across Indian country, we have a number of folks that have been serving Indian country and serving our communities. This year we had 6 Northwest Native candidates up for election on Election Day. Again, Representative Deborah Leakenoff, she was elected back into office. We had Paulette Jordan, a Coeur d'Alene tribal member, who recently ran for governor, was not successful in that bid. She gave a heck of a fight. She was running for Senate, and she ran for the senator position to represent the whole state, was not successful in that bid, but gave a great run to a strong incumbent. We also had other folks like Rudy Soto, a Shoshone Bannock, Karina Miller out of Warm Springs, and a great re-election was Justice Raquel Montoya Lewis, Pueblo Isleta, and she is on the Washington State Supreme Court. We are so proud of Raquel. That's representation on the bench, tribal people with a voice making rulings. It's really a big win for Indian country. We also had Tanisha Harris Creek, State Representative, House Representative 17th Legislative District.
So that really kind of brings up a few really good points. I thought it was exciting that we had some people that were kind of new to politics that ran. Over the years, we'll see candidates that'll run and run and run again. But, when you look at the bigger picture, some of these races happen every 2 years or every 4 years or what have you. But when we start looking at representatives on a local level, people that start getting out, they might not be successful their first run, but that's how they get to know people. Karina Miller, that was really neat to see. Rudy Soto going out there, Paulette Jordan. Paulette Jordan, I think, is just going to be a powerhouse and just keep running. And more importantly, she's bringing, and actually all of them are bringing issues that are important to Indian country out there. So it's really good to see them. They may not be right at the top on their first run out, but when they come back, that many more people really get to know them, and that's really exciting to see. So I appreciate you doing all your research on all the Native candidates, because we did have some, and I know that each year we get more and more candidates that are qualified. Indian country's getting more educated every generation, and it's just exciting to see. So thank you so much.
We are working across Indian country. We've got electoral delegates like Auntie Julie Johnson, and also Patricia Whitefoot. We are working across Indian country to have a more effective campaign for our tribal communities. Right now, we have leaders that work on the election, that have worked in Washington, D.C., that are starting to help the transition team for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. As we move forward, we want to have natives in those important cabinets, and as part of that process, we want representation from Indian country.
Yeah, when we start looking at big issues like dam removal, when we have people that are our allies in those positions when it comes to taking out some of the dams that have been in place for 60, 80, 100 years or what have you, then it's really, things tend to go a lot smoother. So we don't have so much opposition. It makes things go a little bit easier. So thank you for talking about that. Kind of want to keep things moving along. We have a lot to cover tonight. And one of the things I wanted to talk about that I saw that was pretty neat, the celebrating Native American Heritage Month. Now, due to COVID, there have been a lack of a lot of things that we would normally do, that we would normally get out and enjoy. We do some rallies, we get together and do some storytelling or speeches or things along that lines. But this year, Marvel came out with voices, Indigenous voices. I don't know if anybody saw that or not, but it was pretty cool, I thought. And that's really a neat way to celebrate Native American Heritage Month. We've got a lot of things growing in each of our communities. Every year, it's building more and more momentum, and it's really exciting to see. What do you think about something like that?
I think our young people need to have heroes to look up that look like us. Representation is an important matter.
That is very important. What else were you able to look into yourself that you wanted to talk about?
So a couple of things. I really wanted to talk about murdered missing Indigenous women. We continue to have dozens and dozens of cases that are reported right here in Washington State and across the Northwest. So we have an important representation at the Washington State Patrol. We have a tribal liaison position that was funded, and originally it was supposed to be for the west side and the eastern side of the mountains, the east side of the mountains. We have had a powerful person in a position to help investigate those cases, a former law enforcement, and she's doing an amazing job. She's advocating, helping the law enforcement find people and determine who is actually missing. Just recently, the Spokane tribe sent out letters to local tribes, and we put pressure on state government, governor, and state representatives to hire that person and reinstate the funding for the liaison position in eastern Washington. There's a large number of men and women that go missing in eastern Washington.
It's really a big problem. When you look at it on a national level, in the Northwest, Seattle's been a major hub for trafficking, especially in missing and murdered Indigenous women. But now we're seeing a rise, and we don't actually know for sure that it's a rise in the numbers for men and young males, but those might be being reported more often than they were. So we're actually seeing an increase in those numbers, but we don't know because it's reporting or if it's because there's an actual rise in those numbers. But when you start looking at trafficking, Spokane, Seattle, I know the Yakima area has been really big in that, and we lead the country. We had some of the highest numbers in Washington State for a long time in the missing and murdered Indigenous women, and I'm sure it's just as high for the missing and murdered Indigenous men as well. But we're coming together as a country. We're coming together in places. Just this last month, we've had more states that have passed bills to get more monies available to do more investigating, not only on the active files, but also on some of the cold cases. So that's really exciting. It's a great time to be Indigenous. So
yeah, and tribal leaders at affiliated tribes and Northwest Indians brought forward a resolution. The Spokane tribe, along with the help of the Yakima Nation, Patsy Whitefoot, put forward that resolution that was moved forward to the state capitol, and our voices were heard. And so that funding was reinstated, and that position will start December 1st. So we're looking forward to that advocacy for our women and men as well. One of the other things that I want to talk about, just briefly, and we'll have future discussions about it, but the city of Spokane is working with local tribes to rename streets. There has been a major corridor that goes in front of the Spokane Falls Community College named after Colonel Wright, Fort George Wright. And that man, had brutal attacks on the local tribes. He hung leaders, he slaughtered our horses, and we just felt that there is no honor in genocide. And so, folks rallied, letters were sent to city council, and we recently had planning hearing commissions meetings, and are working to change the name. And so it's been a grassroots effort. Folks rallied, and we're taking action.
It's pretty exciting. It's a pretty exciting time to be Native. There's a lot of things that happened this last year. Up in St. Paul, they toppled a Columbus statue. A couple other places toppled them too. When we get out there and start looking at some of the positive changes that are happening in our country, in and out of Indian country, it's not just on the reservation. It's not just in towns that have high populations of Indigenous people, but we're seeing it all over. We're seeing these types of movements, and it's not just in the Native. It's not just in Indian country. It's also the Black Lives Matter. That movement's got a lot of traction too. But I did want to bring this up because it's really important. Because we had in this last election, it was so exciting. I want to talk real quickly about Phoenix. Phoenix ditches offensive street names. And this was in Indian Country Today. It was an AP story that they ran. And one name that they ditched was Robert E. Lee. Now, if you want to name a street something offensive, call it Robert E. Lee Street. And so finally, after all this time, we finally got rid of that name. And that brings to light a really good point. When we started trying to get the name of George Wright changed, it wasn't something that we could do alone. And this is exactly what we mean by needing our non-Native allies to move forward with these types of projects. And it's not just these. It also pertains to things like gaming or taxation or anything that really involves Indian people. We can't really do it alone because we're outnumbered. We're at less than 2% of the population. So every time we go out and try and do anything in mainstream society, we're really outnumbered. So things like this are moving. It's a really good time in this country to see those things. So those are some of the exciting things that we've had happen. I know there's other things that you had that you want to talk about. What else you got for us?
So just recently, a week ago, we had the Centennial Accord. We have a unique system here in Washington State, an agreement between the state of Washington and the tribes across the state. We have 29 tribes in the state of Washington, and the governor sets aside a time where he meets with the tribal leaders of those 29 tribes. This is an amazing example that has been actually replicated across the United States. Washington State leads the way in the tribal state relations. This Centennial Accord started years ago with some leaders like Joe Delacruz from the Quinault Nation, Mel Tenasket from the Colville tribe, and Ron Allen from Jamestown Sklallam. They were sitting around and it said, wouldn't it be nice if state agencies listened to tribal leaders and we work together to solve our issues? So we have the Centennial Accord here in Washington State, where state agencies and tribal leaders work together to solve our problems, the things that we face in Indian country. In years past, we've had traffic safety and a whole range of issues. This year, of course, due to COVID, we had some very unique issues, including broadband. The digital divide is ever present during COVID times. Our school kids, they don't have internet. It's very difficult for our kids to get an education. And so we have tribal folks like Ernie Rasmussen. He's an Oneida Nation member, married into the Spokane tribe, of course. And he's working at Department of Commerce and really working to bring internet to our tribal communities, to our young people.
Yeah, this is just exciting, really exciting. We talk about the Centennial Accord. The Centennial Accord is something that's so cool because when they started this, I don't know if it was 30 years ago I think I heard it was like 30 years ago that they started doing this. It was an idea of getting all these tribes together, and I think at the time they only had 27 tribes in Washington State. Since then we've grown, added a couple others, and they all get together and they sit down with the governor and they sit down with the people in positions of power that can help us alleviate some of the problems that we have in Indian country and on the reservations of all 29 tribes in Washington State. And this year, like she said, a really big one was internet. And I heard, I smirked a little bit because I heard that the Hoh River tribe, way out on the coast, man, those guys they're beautiful, beautiful reservation, really small tribe, but man, they are rural and they are out there. And I heard that they went from having no broadband to having one of the fastest. They're like crazy 100 gigabits per second or whatever that they're running, but it's one of the fastest around now, and that was just really exciting for them to be able. And actually, I heard the story that I heard was that there was a tribal member out there, and it could have been a rumor, but it's just a really cool story, is that he had moved away from the reservation because they didn't have internet access, and once they got it back, he's like, you know, I think I want to move home. I think I want to be closer to my people. And it's things like that can pull us together. You know, it helps us to remember our roots and remember our culture and remember our families, how important we are. You know, we all come from strong, resilient Native blood. It's our bloodlines that got us here. And I heard once that I heard it once put that we are our ancestors, what do they say? We are our ancestors' wildest dreams. That's what we are.
One of the other topics at the Centennial Accord is the environment. As tribal people, we are the ones out on the front lines fighting for clean water, for clean air, for environmental justice. It's tribal communities and our tribal scientists, our biologists, our hydrologists, and just our plain old aunties out there on the front lines trying to get companies to clean up their mess. We're protecting our salmon. We're fighting for the orca whales. Well, in an exciting presentation, the Attorney General, Bob Ferguson, talked about the litigation under NEPA, the National Environmental Policy Act. So the state of Washington is suing the Trump administration for its attempt to gut out NEPA. This is an act that requires environmental review for any major federal decisions or actions. So we're excited that we live in a state that works to protect the environment.
Yeah, and Washington, you know, is one of the most beautiful states of all the Union. We are surrounded by beautiful states, Idaho, Montana, Oregon, you know, the Northwest. We're truly blessed to not only live here, but have our heritage here. Call this our home. Call this our ancestors' home. So it's worth protecting. You know, the tribes over on the coast, they're always fighting to keep their shorelines clean so they can still harvest. You know, they say when the tide is out, the table is set, and that's when they would go harvest their shellfish. And it was a tradition for them, you know, not just the salmon, not just the whales, but also the shellfish right there. So that's pretty exciting. You know, we have I think a good opportunity within the next couple years to set in play some good safety measures to keep those things moving right along. So yeah, very cool. Good points.
Another big topic of the Centennial Accord for tribal leaders is they are out there working to fight COVID and to keep their community members safe. So we'd really like to give a shout out to our healthcare workers. We have a lot of Native nurses here in Spokane at the hospitals. We've got social workers. We have a lot of healthcare individuals that are working to protect our communities across Indian country, across the inland Northwest, Oregon, Idaho, Washington. Our Indian health clinics are doing the testing. They're getting the results out. They're doing the tracing. They're helping to protect our members in our tribal communities. So we want to give a big shout out to our healthcare community. We're so proud of them. Also, we'd like to give a shout out to our grassroots communities, community members like the River Warrior Society. Twella Abrahamson Swan, they've been out there, her and her warrior crew have been out there delivering elder COVID packages across the region. Twella and her crew recently had a truck donated from the Spokane tribe to help deliver those elder COVID packages out to Okanagan. So that means we didn't have to hire a U-Haul. You know, often in Indian country, Jeff's been on these trips to bring water to Warm Springs. We have to pay our own money sometimes, but to get it done, we have to hire rent U-Hauls. And so it was really nice that the Spokane tribe offered a truck up so Twila and the River Warrior Society could deliver those care packages to the elders out there in Okanagan.
Yeah, it's really exciting. So it's really neat to see. COVID is really, it's opened up our opportunities to help each other. You know, there's a lot of things that have come as a result of COVID that were very negative. But fortunately, there's a lot of really cool things that have shined through too. And the River Warriors was definitely one of them. So I have a video here of something that I thought was pretty cool, and I'm going to try to get this to play. But before I do that, though, real quickly, we are doing this live. One of the things that we've had in the past, we've had different episodes, updates, things of that nature, but it's always been challenging because all that stuff takes time to edit. And when you spend 3, 4, 5, 6 hours editing and you're trying to get content out, it makes it real difficult. But by doing it live, we can talk about these things. We could talk. There's also in YouTube. If you've never been on YouTube live before, there's also a chat that you can add comments to, and we can see those in the chat, the live chat down here. If you have something that you want to ask us about. The really neat thing about this, we got a switcher here that's allowing us to do all sorts of different things. It's going to allow me to play the video, hopefully. Keep my fingers crossed. I know it took us a little while to get our act together tonight. We were supposed to go live at 7, and it took us about 48 minutes or 52 minutes or whatever to get all of the technical difficulties squared away. But we want to be able to do more live, and we're thinking about doing some live maybe 2 or 3 times a week in the morning and talk about issues as they happen, as they're coming up, as they're playing out in national, regional, or local politics. And we also want to be able to highlight some of the events that are coming up. I know everybody's been kind of COVIDed out and a lot of cabin fever going on, but there's some really cool things, and I'm going to try to play this video for you right now. I had it lined out earlier, and I hope I can get it up and going. It's a kind of a neat story. We had one of our friends from the Yakima tribe, and I'm going to have to pull this up. If you want to tell the story a little bit about how we got this, how it came about. So Yakima, let's see. So she does the swan dancers down on the Yakima res, and she got a video sent to her, or excuse me, she got a package sent to her, and this video is her unboxing. So I'm going to try to play this, and I'm hoping that I can get the audio to go through, and I'm going to try to do it on the big screen. So we'll try to get this going up like this, and we're going to try to cut to this, and we're going to try to make sure that the audio is going on camera 2. Is that camera 2? And we're going to go like that, and hopefully our audio levels are going to be on for what we need it to be, and we're going to play it. So I hope you enjoy this.
Alright, I'm going live, and I just wanted to show you that we're getting a little bit of love from the Umatilla Res. So let me figure out how to get this here, and I'll show you. Oh, I got the camera wrong way. Okay, so we just got a package from CTYR, and it's for this community, the Yakima Reservation. Look out, Dolly. And kind of proud about this, of course, because I lived there for so long, and a lot of family there. There we go. So I just wanted to share this as a group so that you see. Yakima Nation members. Brosnan, Spencer, let's see.
Oh, Brosnan.
So check this out. Look at that. Nobody does this kind of stuff. Let me see.
How cool is that?
That's amazing.
There we go. These were all handmade by the youth at Confederated Tribes Umatilla Indian Reservation. So all of these were donated to our community. And
Wow.
I think
Man. That's a ton of mass.
That's really cool.
Quite a bit here. There's
From
a
the
lot.
Umatilla tribe out to Yakima country.
Yeah, so
The
that's
little
just
swans.
one bag. Ooh. And then here's another bag. Wow, this even looks like loom dress material stuff, so this is nice. And I think what I'm going to do is work with Lisa and Rosebud to try to get some of these handed out. And so just to give you a little bit of understanding or background, the Umatilla tribe, they really, really work with their youth to promote them and do extraordinary things to help them better themselves and get themselves ready for leadership. So this is one of the projects. The Nihiawe Center actually has pictures of all the youth council in their lobby right next to their elected officials. And so this is some of the outreach that they do with their youth. And I think I'm going to give one to each one of the elected officials as well, but I'll probably give them to Rosebud and Lisa for social services and Rocco so we can hand some out if they ever need any. But yeah, so this is from the heart and soul of that Umatilla tribe. Way to go, Julie Taylor. I appreciate all of your organization. And the youth group over there, I think it goes from like 11 to, I'm thinking it's like even the college level. But yeah, my late husband, he was Umatilla. And so this really warms my heart to see them do these kind of things that are this generous. So, you know, if there's programs or entities, let me know. I can get you a handful so that you can pass them out to your clients and all that jazz. But yeah, pretty proud of them guys. And I just wanted to share this with you guys because I got it in the mail and I've been meaning to open it up and I haven't done it yet. So yeah, and I did sanitize my hands, just so you know. But I'll get these maybe baggied up and we'll get them distributed, and then we can tag whoever wants them. So, but thank you, Umatilla tribe. Thank you, Julie Taylor. Thank you, Brosnan.
Oh, that's
Right.
awesome.
How cool is that? That's like
That's awesome.
Yeah, those kind of things really make you be they're inspiring. They make you feel proud to be Native, be part of a amazing culture, of amazing people. And thank you so much, Mary Lee Jones, out of the Yakima Res. We really appreciate you letting us share that video. It was such a neat story. We want to run that for you, but. We were talking a little bit about the switcher that we got will allow us to show videos like that, but we can also do live interviews. If you want to do it online, we can put the picture-in-picture on here and do a live video through Zoom or through Facebook Messenger, or we can also do slideshows or segments of film, all sorts of different things. But that was the first, I think, a really good example of what we can do. And that's why one of the reasons we wanted to start going live is we can do things like that and we can get feedback from you right away. So shout out to the Yakima, shout out, and like they say on the coast, we raise your hands to the Umatilla youth for doing that. There must have been 40 or 50 different flavors of masks in there, and it looked like there was hundreds of masks. That was really cool.
Well, there's some traditional folks down there at the Umatilla Reservation, and she mentioned Julie Taylor. She also mentioned a dear friend of mine, Brosnan. She's a traditional root gatherer, has traditional medicines, and for her to work with youth and to provide those masks to the Yakima Nation and to the Little Swans, that really just touches my heart. That's Indian country. That's what we do. We take care of our people and our neighbors, and that's what we do.
If you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to message us. You can send us on YouTube. You can check us out on our Facebook page. You can message us there. You can email us at Inland Northwest inwnn@gmail.com. That's INWNN@gmail.com. If you have any story ideas that you would like us to run, be sure to send those as well, and we'll be happy to do our best to try to get to them. During COVID, things are a little bit more challenging right now, but we'll make our best efforts to try to get those done. There's still a lot of really cool things going on out there. So with that being said, I think that's about all I have.
Well, I'm happy to join Jeff here and be his co-host. A big shout out. I'm representing all those aunties out there. So I've got my lip plumper hottie Moodstruck from Tina Ninema from the Kalispel tribe. And I've got my eyelashes from Cindy Thomas, representing the Colville tribe. And, Auntie's got to represent. We're the ones handing out those 20 spots down at Hoot Fest. And so I'm pleased to join Inland Northwest Native News and visit with you a little bit. As Auntie Margot would say, is your FAFSA done? It opens up in October. For all those who are looking at going to college, if you're a senior, if you're in college, get your FAFSA done. That's your free financial aid application. Get that done so you can go to college. Aunties represent, and we're pleased to be here with you. And it's Thanksgiving tomorrow. And as my Ojibwe brothers and sisters say, happy Takesgiving. And to all you uncles out there, you better be honoring those aunties and don't be taking us for granted, because we're going to be the ones up early putting the turkey in the oven. We're going to be making that bread, peeling those potatoes, and getting food on the table. So all you uncles, just respect and love those aunties. Happy Takesgiving, everybody.
Oh, we'll be honoring aunties, all right. That was really, that's a good point. You brought up a lot of good things, and it is really, it's a neat time. But a quick plug, the American Indian Graduate Center had been funding graduates, and now they're funding undergraduates. So if you're looking at going and furthering your education, do so. It'll change your life. It'll help you make positive changes on your res in and out of Indian country. It'll help you on your journey. But American Indian Graduate Center is funding undergrad, so I did want to mention that. So happy Thanksgiving, and we'll be coming at you with another video and hopefully another live stream. We could figure it out, but we'll be sure to let you know. Thank you once again.
Nemeth Wichtamen, until we see you again.